Hello. In this video I'm going to show how I was able to install radio controlled steering in 3 miniature model steamboats. These steamboats range in length from about 14 inches. This one is about a foot long. This is the tiniest one right here. This is a little toot. You've seen maybe other movies of this one operating. I also have a video of this one operating at my cabin in the lake. I'll start with this steamboat right here, which I've named Des Moines. It's my grandfather's name. The radio controlled is very inexpensive because it was made from salvaged radio controlled toys. In this case, a Tonka. It was a little car of some sort, I forget. I bought it at a second-hand store. So you can see that rudder moves quite fast. And zoom in here a little bit. I'll open it up in a minute. This is the second steamboat, and in this case I've used parts from little radio controlled cars. And these cars have a little quarter length AAA NiCad battery that's rechargeable, but I've substituted a AAA alkali battery which has slightly more voltage, but the electronics don't seem to mind. They seem to operate quite well. This is the controller right here. And you can see that operates quite well. And the last boat, Little Toot, is a little bit different because the space was so confined that I had to put the motor in the front and run a little cable to the back on this little lever right here. Okay, I'll open these steamboats up and show you the innards and how they work. Starting with, I'll start with this one that I call Des Moines. It's a little gear motor mounted right there. I purchased those online. They're about $3 to $5. The motor turns at about the speed of a second hand on the clock, about 1 revolution per minute. There's a little pulley on the rudder shaft, and there are stops. I don't know if you can, well, I guess it's underneath. But the point is, it's operated by a belt, which is just a simple O-ring, and if you keep your finger on the button too long, you can see the belt just slips, and so you don't have to worry about things getting out of adjustment. Then I've run the wires to the front, and the circuitry from the car is mounted on this little plate right here. That's all there is to it. This wire here is the aerial. And in this case, for space, I had to make a little battery pack and use these coin batteries. There's 4 coin batteries in there, which gives a voltage of 6 volts. That's what it takes to operate this particular system right here, and that just lays in there like that. This Steamboat right here has a 3-cylinder single-acting engine and a horizontal boiler. I had to build this little manifold system right here to exhaust the steam out through the top of the boat to keep condensation out of the interior of the boat. Second Steamboat, which has a metal hull and is about 1 foot long, has the same little motor, and get this apart here. These end pieces are attached with Velcro. In this case, the motor is a little bit shorter coupled to the rudder shaft, but in the same manner, the belt. And again, there are stops to keep the rudder from going too far in either direction. And if you hold your finger on the trigger too long, you can see the belt just slips. So there's nothing really to get out of adjustment. In this case, the electronics are up in the front, and it's just a tiny circuit board from this little car. And it's mounted on this little piece of wood with a AAA alkali battery. And I have a plug in here so I can disconnect it and take it out if I need to. This boat has the little 2-cylinder single-action engine and a smaller horizontal boiler. And this one operates with a little alcohol lamp. The other boat uses sterno in a pan. So it's just a different way of boiling the water. The little toot is similar to the last boat with the tiny circuit board. And I had to put the battery in a vertical position so it would fit up inside the wheelhouse of the boat. For space reasons. And the motor is right up here in the front also in this case. And there's a little wire that runs through a 1/16 inch brass tube that goes to the back where this little arm is actuates the rudder. So that's it. Very inexpensive. These little cars can be bought online for about $5 to $10 a piece. The gear motors you can purchase online, and That's what they look like. They're little brushless DC motors. They operate on 3 to about 9 volts, I guess. And they run a little bit slower where I'm using a single battery, and on the other boat, Des Moines, where I have the stack of button batteries, it operates a little bit faster. So there you go, a very inexpensive way to install radio controlled on a miniature steamboat. This controller, I find, has a range of about 50 feet, so if you get beyond 50 feet, you might lose your radio control. However, 50 feet is a pretty long distance for a tiny boat like this. This one's only 10 inches long, little toot. You wouldn't really want to be operating at 50 feet away. You could hardly see it. And this one is larger and has a longer aerial, a much longer range, but I've never really checked it out to see how far I could get with it. Thanks for watching. Check out my other steamboat videos and take a look at my steamboat book, which I sell to people that are interested in starting to build these miniature model steamboats. It has all the information you need. They're very inexpensive to build and very enjoyable and satisfying hobby.